right, here we go. It is podcasting time. Glenn Power is here from Powerworks Garage because this is his garage, and that's where we record. A huge hello and shout out to the folks over at Talk 100.3 who are listening in on your afternoon drive. Great to have you with us. Send us all of your messages, questions, queries, comments, WhatsApp, potaholics with a K at gmail.com. Love to hear from you. And welcome to everyone who's listening to us from around the world. And we're super glad to have you with us. And we're going to be talking cars today. We're going to be talking about getting your car ready for things. We're going to be talking about a couple of new electric cars that are out there. I've got India on my mind. There seems to be a lot of good cars coming out there. We're going to take a walk through the garage. Well, a virtual walk through the garage, that is. Get Glenn to fill us in on what's going on there. And this is a first for the Powerworks podcast. And I actually think it might be a first for even our Car Talk podcasts that we were doing back in the day, where we have Joey WooWu joining us on the line. Hey, good morning, Joey.
Well, holy moly. Good morning to everyone out there.
And of course, you're joining us from Canada. I have no idea where in Canada you are, somewhere in Ontario. You didn't elaborate. You said you were going to be somewhere between London, Ontario, and no man's land. So...
Well, I'm where our pops used to live back when he was alive. I'm in Cambridge, actually.
Well, there we go. So. Wonderful. Great to have you with us. Now, anyone who's been listening to this podcast and listening to us on the radio will know that we rather frequently talk about the Joey WooWu car reviews, and we base our car reviews off of the WhatsApps that you send through so nicely. Thank you very much. We don't usually play them, but we do talk about them, and one might say that we always have lots of questions about your driving acumen and the gimbal setup you use with your filming with the helmet, Super Dave Osborne helmet that you must be wearing in your car because the filming is fantastic. And it just happens all of the car tools of the world came together so that we could get you on the phone today to talk about your latest drive, the Mercedes.
Well, you know what? This Mercedes it's an A-Class. So, I mean, we're not talking top of the line or anything like that. But it is, it's not a bad little car. I'll tell you that.
Hold on a second. I live in the world where a Mercedes is a Mercedes, whether it is the $30,000, A-Class 220 that you're driving, the one off the thing, or, the most expensive Maybach that's ever been made. It's still a Mercedes, dude. Like people must be looking at you and going, you're driving a Mercedes.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you. Honestly, when I went, because you in Canada right now, so you go to rent a car. It used to be there was a lineup of cars. Pick from the line, the whole 9 yards. But right now, it's there's not a lot of rental cars out there. So when I go, it's like, and I rent for like months at a time. Like it could be 3 months, 2 months at a time. So I show up and she's like, all I got for a big sedan is a Mercedes right now. And I'm like, I can't expense that. Company's not going to pay. And she's like, well, I'll give it to you for the same price that I was paying for the Trailblazer. And I'm just like, wait till the guys see me pull up in this thing. But honestly, it's, you know what? Honestly, I drove a Camry, a Maxima, stuff like that. They rode better and nicer than this thing does. Mind you, this has got a lot of kilometers on it too. So
you
that's the rental
buy
world.
Into that, Glenn?
Yeah, I mean, what is it, Joe? Is it just is the ride hard, or why would a Camry or a Maxima?
I think it's worn out. Like you know what? There's a couple of spots I live out in the country, so there's a couple of spots where you go down into the hollow over a bridge. It's a little bumpy. It'll bottom out. I can feel it bottom out. Yeah, I think it's just worn out. It's just not. It's not as loved as you guys love cars in Dubai.
But this isn't an old car either. This is not an old thing. I mean, how old? What's it got on the odometer? Oh, you couldn't find the odometer with all the.
No, I can't figure out how to work that. It's a 2021.
So That's not a worn out car. I mean, I'm driving 2008. Come on, that's a worn out car.
You admit you drive a classic.
You were also talking a little bit. I mean, we often talk about the fact that people get kind of bought into all the technology in a car, and one of your critiques.
Oh, I love that.
You're big into that lane assist stuff, which I don't want to go anywhere near that. That's like robot land. But you're right into the lane assist, and you said this one didn't have lane assist.
You know what? It might actually. Yesterday, that was it. Okay, so here's the thing. So I guess if I owned the car, I would sit in the car more. Now I don't myself. I you know what? I drive it. I get in the car. I drive to work. I'm an hour and 15 minutes, 20 minutes sometimes to work. I don't sit there and try to figure everything out. Whereas when you own it, lane assist on a lot of cars is pretty obvious. You just push the button, you find it, it's on the dash. For whatever reason, this car is very confusing. I did discover a traffic stopped in front of me the other day, yesterday on my way to here, that it actually did tell me that there was somebody stopping in front of me. Like somebody was slammed on the brakes in front of me. So I do apologize. It is 1 something in the morning here. So I am a little tired. My phone started ringing.
It did take 3 rings.
But yeah, no.
3 calls to get you up, by the way.
I know. I was like, what is that noise?
So this is a big challenge. I'm going to bring Glenn back into this. This is a big challenge with vehicles these days. Is all of this tech in it that you got to learn how to use.
It's not necessarily what would you say, that intuitive, is it? Like they're not overly easy to use. Like the Tesla, everything on one screen that Volvo and Ford have kind of taken on, and a lot of places, a lot of manufacturers do now. You try and find the odometer on a Tesla, like, which sounds like, well, I don't care. You do care. We care because we have to make a job card and put the mileage on it, and it's like the job card comes through and there's no mileage on it. So then the service advisor gets a kick in for that, and well, I don't know how to find it, sir. Yeah, I understand. Actually, I remember being there. So just to find the odometer. So then to find things like lane assist and lane departure warning and all that sort of stuff, they're trying to remove the buttons from the dashboard.
Yeah,
nobody wants buttons anymore. They want it on the screen. So then you've got to go into a menu and a drop down and a sub setting and this and that, and then before you know it, you're changing the indicator to make a fart sound inside the car. Like, I just want it to vibrate the wheel and the seat when I'm going over the white line. It was easier.
Oh my God!
Well, you also had that issue with the computer trackpad close to the coffee. So every time you'd reach down to grab your non-spill cup, you were changing all the radio stations.
Every day, literally twice on the way here. I'm trying to drink my apple juice, and I'm in traffic, and that darn keypad or whatever, like you said, mouse pad, I guess is what it is, changes channel. You know what? I'm listening to classic rock, little AC/DC, whatever it is. Next thing you know, country and western. What the heck? Drive me right over the wall. Now, here's another Canadian thing. So, like Glenn was saying there about the lane assist and the whole 9 yards. So here we use a brine. Yeah, depending on the temperature, there's stats there that I'm not 100% sure of. But so we use a brine material. They'll spray on the highway prior to snowfall, ice, stuff like that. Well, it comes out in basically they have this big tank on the back of a truck, and it sprays it out in lines on the road. Well, lane assist picks up these white lines prior to a snowfall, and it just messes up your lane assist. Like it'll pull you into onto the side of the road if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's not cool. When they're just the optical sensors, that's not something that was thought about, is it? I bet Volvo have thought about it.
That's the thing. I was thinking, have you had a chance to drive a Volvo yet?
Oh no!
You need to get a Volvo, because I'd love to hear, because you're in the most Mercedes A220, not a fan. Nice car, but not a fan. I mean, you're literally saying you'd rather have a Maxima. You'd rather have a Maxima. That's what you said. Nissan wins.
I would. Yes. No, I would.
The Nissan guys are going to love us.
I would.
What about the Trailblazer? How did you like that? Okay. And you're a GM guy.
I know. And you know what? You know what? Even the consensus with all the guys, I've worked with 5 other guys, and Malibus. Oh, what else have they had? Malibus, Impalas, stuff like that. Nobody's been happy.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. Yeah. The Trailblazer. I had the Trailblazer. So I'm old. Okay. Not nearly as old as you.
Thank you.
I'm old.
Thanks.
And so heated seats. Okay. Here we go back to the creature comforts and stuff like that. So heated seats are, you're in the car for an hour and a half, let's say an hour and 20. Heated seats are kind of important just to limber you up and stuff. Well, I get this Trailblazer. This is fantastic. Awesome. Heated seats. It's the winter, this is fantastic. Yeah, they don't work. I could push the button all day long. So I get in there, I Google. Turns out, I think it might be part of what you guys have talked about so many times, the whole chip fiasco and, lack of chips and stuff like that. It was to the point I was almost going to take it to a dealer myself near where I work and have them put the chip in it, or if they even can. I don't even know.
Oh, man. That's classic. Hey,
yeah, the rental car industry right now is just, it's so, well, you've talked about it so many times, talking about Turo and stuff like that, which I don't even know if I could expense Turo. I should see, because it's probably 10 times better than the rental, industry right now. Basically, as a collective between the 5 guys I work with, every one of us has a car that has 80 to, between 0 to 80,000 K on the cars. My last one had almost 90,000 K on it.
That's crazy.
And that's what, we're supposed to be renting a brand new car.
Yeah. That's the world we're in right now. I want to jump back to one. I want to jump back to one more thing about the Mercedes you're on, and I think it's endemic of all your reviews, maybe indicative of all your reviews, and that is the quality of the dash for warming up lunch. And you had
my gosh, I tried it on the seat. Okay, I have tried the heated seat. I'm honestly thinking, James, and you know what? We need Glenn to help us out here. We need to figure out the very compact form of, I got an idea. We're going to do this off air. So I got an idea, though, but a compact way of heating up food. I'm telling you, there is nothing better. I've heated pizza up on the defroster. I've tried mac and cheese, anything for breakfast, whatever I can eat. But really, the burritos do happen to be the best. Just a nice little wrap up there with some vegetables in it, a little bit of steak, whatever. Throw it up there on the defrost. Man, you crank that up about 5 minutes before you get to. I've been driving down the 407 in Ontario here, and I have to roll the windows down because I got the heat blowing so hot out of the defroster that it's just cooking inside.
Hey, Joey, sorry, is that a diesel, that A220?
No.
Okay, so on the diesel ones, you'll have.
It's it's gas. It says Supreme. Now with the engine lights on, I've been putting regular in. I wonder if I should.
But no, the diesel. So the diesels will have parking heaters and auxiliary heaters to get because because the diesels take forever to warm the coolant up. We used to get them on the VWs when they first started to put them on, and they're down. Well, they were in the footwell, which was really easy to get to. I mean, they used to glow hot, but that would be real easy to adapt some kind of, grill setup with the auxiliary heater. I mean, they're made aluminium fins anyway, so you could probably get scorch marks on a steak.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That would be so cool. It's so funny because, like you say, I put pizza up there, and then all of a sudden, as it starts to warm, the interior temperature and the smell inside the vehicle, it's like I'm at a pizzeria in Italy or something like that. It's fantastic. That should be a selling feature.
But when you give these cars back, they must just smell like a canteen.
I don't think there's any rules, though. There's no rules. Yeah. I've never signed a rental document that says don't prepare food in the car. They've said don't eat in the car, no smoking in the car, but nowhere has it ever said don't prepare a pizza in the car. So I think technically you're in the clear.
Well, and I'll tell you, and like I've been saying with the guys that I work with, so there's a collective of us. One guy, he picked up a Camry. So we swap out. When you're in the winter, it's usually you go for an all-wheel drive vehicle, everything. That's why I had the Trailblazer. I had a CX-9 prior. And so this guy just traded out from a Ford Escape Titanium, I think it was. Beautiful looking vehicle. Everything was nice. And so he swaps out to a Camry. He gets this thing, smells like stale old cigars, opens the trunk to put his luggage in. There's nothing in the trunk. Like, it's wide open to the spare tire. There's no, interior covering, for covering the spare tire. He's like, he couldn't even put his suitcase in because it's going to be sitting on the tire. But, yeah.
Joys of rent.
Rental cars in Canada are a whole lot different right now than they used to be. That's for darn sure.
I want to just go back to the burrito on the dash for a second, and I'm just picturing you on a windy road, and you said the problem in the A220 was the burrito would slide off the dash. It didn't have good grip.
Yeah, I had to switch to Ziploc bags because I was using a small glass, Ziploc container with the snap down lid. But yeah, first corner off it went. So then now I'm creating a hazard because I'm, hooked on the seatbelt, leaning way over on a country road trying to get the damn stuff off the floor. Yeah. Ziploc bag kind of molds. Once it gets a little warm, it molds into the grill of the defroster. Works a lot better. That is the one thing. This one has a pretty smooth defroster, whereas the Trailblazer, it was pretty good. It would sit right down in there and hold on. So you saw the video. When you're moving, it was like beep, 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 you could zip around.
Anyone who's just by chance tuned into this podcast and is wondering what is going on, Joey WooWu joining us from Canada.
Poor them.
Giving us, we're talking about his latest Mercedes A220, and of course, as with all of these podcasts, we ramble around in the world of cars. Glenn Power is here from Powerworks Garage. This is the Powerworks Podcast, by the way, and the other great thing, and this is something that Glenn is not a fan of, but you did point this out in the 220 you're in. It's got a wicked sunroof.
Oh yeah,
I say I take a sunroof in Canada.
Now it's a whole lot different for us
I take one
right?
in Canada.
It's a whole lot different.
And do you get can you get to areas, I guess, in Canada where there's no light pollution? So you can be driving, looking at the Milky Way. See, I take that. I just don't want one here. They're just trouble, and all the curtains fall off.
Yeah. Yeah. See, so exactly kind of what and I've heard in previous podcasts, because anybody that hasn't gone back through the history of your guys' podcast, they really should, because there was so many. And you know what? I'm guilty. I can't say that I've listened to them all, but in the past, listening to your guys' podcast, here, we don't get the incredible heat, the incredible sun. I mean, you've talked in the past about tinting your your sunroofs up and up, above and beyond what the factory does because of the sun that comes through on your sunroofs and stuff like that. Whereas here, it's not so bad. And my problem is now, I guess I can't say James is thinning as much as I am. Fucker. I guess is what I'll say to that. But having a sunroof, the sun does seem to kind of burn the top of my head a little bit more than it used to.
Is the blind? Has it not got the rolling blind?
I blame the motor. It does have the rolling blind, which is it is nice. It is luxury inside. It does feel nice.
Yeah.
Look like
it is. It's got the lights. The first thing my daughter said when I drove with her in it, and it was nighttime, is like, ooh, because all the lights that light up on the dash. It actually reminded me a little bit of my '86 Buick Regal, which was just phenomenal with the inside lights and everything on the dash.
Wow. Yeah. Well, lights and sound system, that Mercedes is full of that. Is leather seats as well, right?
Leather seats, yep, heated, which, it's kind of nice. Good for the sciatic. Good for the back. Oh, my gosh, I could use a stretch right now. What time is it? Oh, it's like 1 in the morning. What time are you guys on?
It's 20 after 9 a.m.
Oh, you must be nice. You had coffee yet?
I'm fasted, totally fasted. I've got blood tests at 10:30.
Yeah, but we got the Borgenbeck mugs here ready for the coffee, so we're ready to go.
Oh. Very cool. So everything's really busy at the Powerworks garage from what I've been following. That's awesome.
Yeah, busy. Sometimes not necessarily busy in a good way, but putting out plenty of fires and yeah.
That's always the way business was, isn't it?
Well, he's got a Ferrari sitting out here right now.
Not me. I haven't.
Ooh.
I haven't. There's an unfortunate construction of the sentence there. I haven't got a Ferrari at all. But we got a customer that brought a 348 tuberculosis in. And just window regulators, but it was brought in from the UK. So it was like, oh no, everything's going to break. It's all going to be rotten.
And was it?
The wiring was shocking, but it probably left the factory like that. Those things are, look at them, and I think you'll always admire them. Although I don't have the urge to ever own a Ferrari. I feel like you'd be too gentle with it. It's not like a Porsche that you can just take anywhere. But the Ferrari, it's never been the thing for me. But working on them, man, no wonder Lamborghini thought he could do better and stop making tractors to make supercars because no, really, there's a lot left to be desired when it comes to the way they're put together. But this one's quite a clean example. But it's the same. So we had a Toyota in the UK called the MR2. I don't think they
we had
have it in
MR2s.
Canada because they didn't release it in French speaking countries because MR2. So they only released, so the MR2 was in the UK, but that model of the 348 used to get body kit that you could put on the MR2 and make it look exactly the same.
Okay.
So the round MR2, I think it was like maybe the second generation of the MR2.
Yeah. And
they used to put body kits on them. And the local, I didn't go to this college, but the local college in my town, they did one as a project. So I've always been kind of not necessarily taken aback by it, but it's rare. We don't see many of them.
Yeah, nice.
Different, fun.
Joey, we're going to let you go. We're going to cut you loose. You get to go back to bed. But you know what? Thank you very much. Final words on that Mercedes A220, because I just think anytime someone throws a Mercedes at me, I'm like diving all over it. But your final words on it in a sentence? There we go.
I don't know. I don't know yet. It is growing on me. I will
is it better
say
than
that.
a Golf?
I will say. Oh, hey, MR2. Richard Bynel has one. He's got one. I also work with a guy. Shout out to Big John Green. He has an older square body MR2 and it's called Old School right on top, and this guy's old school, let me tell you. We call him the garden gnome. He kind of looks like the garden gnome. But listen, it was literally an honor to be able to be on the broadcast and to finally meet Mr. Powerworks
Okay,
himself.
now these are back out.
Even though it is over the telephone, but fantastic. It'll be quite a comedy if we ever do meet in person, because I am, I don't know, how tall am I? 5 something? 4, 6? Can I say 6 foot? No.
Oh, you can say it.
You can say it.
This is the joy of radio. And now this is going out on the radio again now on top 100.3. This is like effectively going to go into space.
Yeah, it's all over.
Like this is now universe wide.
Yeah. Hey, I want to back up before I let you go. One quick question: the A220 versus some of the Volkswagen products you've been driving, the Passat.
Oh, I do like the Passat.
Yeah.
I do like the Passat. Now, I tell you what, a lot. So I'm driving, what are we? Yeah, so 120, 130K each way daily, depending on any stops and stuff. A lot of the cars nowadays are city commuters, right? Little teeny motors with big turbos on them. And yeah, there's the nice thing about the Passat, and I'm a Volkswagen guy from way back. That was my first ever car. And gas mileage and how many times I have to fill the tank is huge. Whereas the Passat, I can fill like every third day. But a lot of these other cars, you're filling this thing every day. Because I work in Brampton, Ontario. Love it. Nothing wrong with Brampton. Very busy. That's the problem. I come from the country. But you know what? Like, it's very busy, so you don't want to be stopping and having to fill up with gas and stuff like that in town. So it's nice living out in the country. You can stop at the small places, fill up with gas and that. So it's really crucial to be having, Big Al Boyd from Coboconk, Ontario, was driving back and forth into Brampton with us. He was driving what's the Volkswagen Torrance, maybe? Touareg? No, it wasn't Touareg. AO. Maybe it was. I can't even remember. What was it? It looked really sharp. Every day. He had to fill up every day with gas because he's 2 hours away. So that's where the Passat is. And the Passat is a nice riding, holds the road nice. You don't, again, I'm not 100% in, focused on the road and everything. I'm looking at squirrels, butterflies, the whole 9 yards, looking to see what's in people's backyards, thinking, as I drive by on the highway, just to see if there's any treasures there I can take to put in my backyard. All the goodies. So that's what's nice about the Passat. The Passat was nice because it had a huge tank.
I think if we've learned anything today, then anyone that sees an A220 on the 407, give it a wide berth, because the driver may not be paying the most attention.
You're not wrong, my friend. You are not wrong at all. You are not. That's why I'm kind of glad I haven't found the lane assist, because I don't think I would like the beeping and binging over top of my AC/DC, and the occasional laugh, a little bit of that, this and that. But yeah, if I have to hear that dinging and all that over top of my rock and roll, yeah, that's
there we go. Jason Piecowye joining us from Canada, aka Joey WooWu, and we'll do it all again real soon. Thanks for joining us. Go back to bed. Bye.
Thanks,
Take care, guys.
There we go. You have now met my brother.
Yeah, and I think if any law enforcement, road traffic officers hear this, there could be a problem on the 407.
But nice endorsement there at the end of that whole process is he's going back to Volkswagen, first love, and Volkswagen got a big shout out. Clearly not a fan of the Mercedes though.
It's what's interesting is what you come to like about a car.
Yeah.
I don't like the A-Class Mercedes. They do a
they're
sedan version and they do a hatch version.
Right.
I don't like any of them.
and
they're
being
very
discontinued, as I understand it.
They are, yeah. I mean,
Or they have been discontinued.
most of the ones you see here are the rental level, so
Right.
probably similar to the 220. I think we get a 180 here for rentals.
Yeah.
Or they're the 45s and 43 AMGs.
Right.
They're just horrible to drive. They make a nice noise, and you pull up and walk to the car to get in it, and it looks cool. But they're just not nice to drive. And I remember that, and I asked him, obviously Joey couldn't give an opinion on that, but if it was better than a Golf, I remember being in Bahrain with the guys at Bebahani Brothers, who were the importer there, and they were worried when the A220 came out in about 2000. This sort of A220 in 2014.
I think that's when it was. Yeah.
13, 14, and they were worried that it was going to take from their Golf business. They said they didn't really see a difference in it.
It is about the same price as the top level there.
Yeah, but I've never really. Obviously, there's always bias.
Yeah.
And like Joey said, he's a VW guy, so he's got that there. But the interesting thing for me out of it was that what was important to Joey was, we've mentioned comfortable seats before, but he was talking about how often or not he has to fill up the tank.
Yeah.
Which is a pain. Like if you're doing an hour and 20 on a fairly straight big road, you're doing 100, 115, 120 kilometers an hour, maybe more when the limit allows, to then have to stop for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, just the stress of.
Well, and fuel's expensive too. So you've got to fuel up. I was also impressed. He's a GM guy, so he cut his teeth like you and DJ working, not for Volkswagen, but working for GM. And he wasn't happy with the GM vehicles either.
That's probably because he remembers when they were good.
Yeah. Well, you heard the vehicle he liked.
Yeah.
The Buick Regal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Love the Regal.
When it was,
when it was good. That's the velour seats and that era.
You ask DJ what his favourite Golf is, he'll tell you it's a Mark IV. He'd finished his apprenticeship, he'd done all his training, and that's when he's like 2003, 4 is when he started working on his own, fully fledged, fully qualified. And the Mark IV was like in its peak. You've got the anniversary GTI, you've got the R32, and it was so much better than the Mark III. Yeah. That's his favourite. Whereas for me, I like the Mark IV, but I'd take the Mark V because I was a few years later.
Right.
By the time I'd got to that stage, it was the Mark V, and that's what I'd come back. So I look at the Mark VI was nowhere near as good as the Mark V. It was an improvement on the Mark V,
okay.
but the Mark V from the Mark IV was huge.
And where are we now? Like when
we're on the 8 now.
Okay, so when people are looking around, we're
and it's like we went past a Golf R yesterday, I think, on road test, me and DJ, and it's like, what the hell's that on the back of there? And it was the new R logo.
Right.
So why have they done that? Ridiculous. Well, it probably looks like someone's been and bought that themselves off AliExpress. And, like, you take yourself out of it and have a subjective view of it.
Yeah.
You understand what they've done. It looks cool. It's great. But we like it how we like it.
Yeah.
And, on the subject of the Golf, I think, it's been confirmed now that 2024 or 25, is the last production of a Golf. They're going to facelift the 8 at the end of this year. And that's the end of it.
That's an era.
That's the end of it.
Those are rabbits back in Canada.
Yeah, the rabbit.
It was a rabbit, and then it turned back into the Golf, but that's an era.
Getting rid of it. It's gone. So 2028, 29, 30, there'll be no Golfs in dealerships under warranty anymore.
Wow. It's a sad day.
Crazy.
It's a sad day.
Yeah.
Huh.
I think it's second to only the Corolla, isn't it, as the most selling named vehicle in history.
Oh man. My mother, back in 1979, had a green Grasshopper. I'm sure it was either green or yellow, but it was Grasshopper on the windshield color of green or yellow, with a sunroof that was vinyl that you peeled back. There was no glass. Yeah. It was just this vinyl on, and that was a Corolla.
Yeah,
I remember that Corolla.
Yeah.
And it was just, those things just keep driving.
Yeah.
They just keep driving.
Well, it's just should be a shame there's going to be no. I mean, and the thing is,
That's sad.
There's got to be something that size. Golf's really practical now. They're huge now. Like you take,
that's the other thing.
I had a Mark II that, you know, I could fit 2 or 3 friends in, and often did, and take my mum or whatever to the supermarket or whatever it was when I was not at work or sixth form. But nobody could get behind me with the seat back.
Right. No
problem now. New Golf's no issue. People sit. I've had baby seats with, you know, behind my driver's seat all the way back, and on a current Golf, I don't have the seat all the way. It's not on its extremity.
Wow.
You know, like they're huge now. You got a huge boot, plenty of space inside. When you get to the 4Motion, so the R's and stuff, the floor's a bit higher to accommodate the drive line. But you know, they're so big, they're so practical. You wonder. I mean, I think there's an ID2 coming, which is probably going to be golf size. Why can't you just keep the name? Like, it's
put the golf in somehow into the ID, the golf ID2 golf version,
just call it the Golf. I mean, I just don't know.
Maybe they'll change their mind, but not usually.
No, they might change their mind if in the next 3 or 4 years people realise how much of a kicking the can down the road false economy in terms of the environmental expense these electric cars actually are. I think that's you know, I think that for me,
when people start disposing of those batteries.
I mean, look, you got a simple situation of I think the UK, if you take the UK for example, you're not a big market, 70 whatever million people in the UK, and I know people, and I think the statistic is about 20%, I think, but I know people personally that by the end of the month they're using food banks to get by. Like, it's a developed country and there is welfare, but it's not, you know.
I'm hearing that in Canada too. I was listening
it's all over the world, right? Yeah. So there's not a massive run every March and September for the new registrations of new cars. You know, like when like the early 2000s, mid 2000s, before 2008 happened, ridiculous amount of preparation work in the dealerships. Like we'd prepare 50 cars a week. Yeah. For sales that have been sold, you know, like, and we're in a small town of like, I don't know, not many people. We're not in the middle.
Everyone was driving VW.
So people, and we were like people coming all over to buy them. So, but it's not like that now. It's not like that now. So my point is, I think the UK, because I know that the UK, I think is, in terms of the world's carbon output, is 2%. 2%. So the UK, people might say, is a developed country and can do more to help with the environment. But really, what can it do? Because unless it's an island, so let's try it, turn it into The Walking Dead, and there's no carbon output.
Well,
it's what benefit does the world see from that? Nothing. But you've got places like places in Africa where they're mining this cobalt for these batteries. They need to burn trees to stay warm and cook food, because they haven't got the infrastructure for central heating. You know, even places like China and Brazil that people would say are India are developed, there's such poverty there that they aren't interested in, you know, what they're putting in there. They don't care how refined their fuel is, or if they even use, they'll burn anything. Yeah, like they've got to stay warm and cook. Right, so their view is get through today. So this long-term view of, these electric cars are too expensive for making a difference where it actually matters. So parts of the world that are benefiting, if you can say that, and I still think the jury's out on that, well, they're not really having that much of an effect anyway. Like, the pollution's happening in the rest of the world, where it's happening out of necessity, and then these materials are being shipped all around the world 2 and 3 times, and then cars are being put together and shipped around the world 2 or 3 times, and then they're ending up in, you know, fancy parts of London because of the ultra low emission zone.
There we go.
And you know, big deal. What benefit has the world had from that? Because also, just like with a mobile phone, there's a new model comes out in a 2-3 year period, and you want that. So then who's disposing of this electric car, which now has a battery that's only 30%, that's lost 30% of its efficiency? Yeah. So then really, what's the benefit? It's just crazy to me. Like I just think there's such a
we jumped into this feet first without really having given it enough
I think
thought.
it's just the whole trending craze. Like, oh yeah, we can get this. Oh wow, this has got some traction.
I heard this on the news today, and it was in relation to the conflict in the Ukraine, the war, but it relates to what we're talking about with technology and jumping on things. And it was talking about some of the folks who are running a defense battery in the Ukraine, and they've abandoned their communication system that you would normally use. So they're not using their computers, they're not using their mobile phones, they're using landline dial-up phones to communicate where they're going, because that can't be spied on or intercepted. They're gone old school, and they're saying, you know what? It works really well. And they are old dial-up phones, and in some cases, they're laying the lines. They're just putting them right down on the ground, laying the lines. They roll them up after, but it's old school technology that is having the greatest effect for them in their communication process. And I think we're really quick to dump the old and jump into new and shiny without thinking, hold on a second, what do I really need? And it's like phones, our phones now are just really little portable computers. And if you're using it as a phone, you just need your old cheap Nokia that you can buy for 200 dirhams at $50 somewhere. That there's lots of those that do great. They just do phone and SMS. You're sorted.
Yeah. It's the interesting thing with a phone for me is going to come when Elon Musk gets the Neuralink thing through.
He's working that. He's working that hard.
That's in some testing stage at the moment.
I'm sure.
And
he's testing it.
What happens to the phone industry then?
Yeah. I was listening to one of these, basically talking about that in another form of Neuralink, but how you can use tools to translate what you're thinking in brainwaves. And I was listening to a guy yesterday talking about the research that they're doing and the success they've had. Part of it with natural language processing and big data, being able to process everything. But this guy was keen to point out that you can. They've had some success in training the computer to be able to read people's thoughts, unless it's outside of what it's been trained for, then it doesn't work. And how easy it is to mess it up. So it's again early days and a lot of possibility for error.
Yeah, I just think that we started obviously talking about getting rid of the golf and
nice bringing that back to where we're supposed to be.
The whole point I was trying to make was that there's no room for sentimentality in business, right?
No.
There isn't. But
if there was, Honda would bring back the original Civics as city commuters.
Yeah,
which I don't know why they don't.
Yeah,
because those are basically little minis.
Yeah, there isn't any. I mean, you look at the electric Honda that they proposed looked very, very similar, a bit more boxy. But with cars, if there isn't any objective, if there's no reason to try and get any business from someone buying a car just because they like it, rather than it actually makes sense for them, then what's the point? And cars are all starting to look the same anyway. We've been saying that for ages.
Oh,
so it's really a matter of, well, I can tell you now, if I'd have gone to my granddad, dead now, but if I'd have gone to my granddad and said, "Granddad, I could do with any chance you could lend me some money to buy a car? What are you buying? A Golf? All right. Any chance you could buy a car? Lend me some money to buy a car, Granddad. What are you buying? ID2? Absolutely no chance. He'll be spying on you.
Get out of here.
Yeah, And I'm not saying that that's how Volkswagen should run the business nor any other manufacturer. But what I am saying is trying to illustrate that people drive cars when they buy them new, usually because they like the look of them.
Yeah.
There are people that buy them based on price, and they've got kids to go to football practice and swimming squad and all this stuff. And I get it. That's the Pajeros and the Prados and that sort of stuff. But if someone's driving a Jaguar, if somebody's driving a Range Rover, if somebody's driving an Audi, if somebody's driving a Mercedes, a BMW, these things are trouble.
Yeah.
In terms of when you have problems with them, they are expensive to maintain because they are a premium product.
Yeah.
That is something that when they're being driven, that person driving that vehicle likes that vehicle.
Yeah.
The Jaguar XF isn't any more practical, definitely not more reliable, and probably not even, it might be a little bit, but let's say it's the same efficiency in terms of fuel and pollution as a Camry.
Yeah.
They've chosen the XF over the Camry for a reason. They like the look of the XF over the Camry and the prestige that comes with the driving a Jaguar.
On a side note, just as driving up to the garage today for this podcast, Dubai Taxi, the number of Camrys that they've taken out of service that are sitting there. It's a gold mine if you want something with heavy mileage.
Yeah, at the top there, yeah.
Yeah. There's like 50 of them.
Yeah, you want a million kilometer Camry.
It's been driven hard.
Go ahead. It's been driven. Some of them have not been switched off. Yeah, I mean, there's a.
But you buy a car.
To me, it's a strange move getting rid of the Golf, and I'm sure they've worked out why and how and what the reasons for it are. But it's. But then again, you know.
Maybe the writing's on the wall.
The Bronco. The Bronco was killed off, and that's back big time. You know, the Hummer died, that's back. The Defender went away, that's back.
So
the Golf might come back. It might never go. It might never ever go. It might never
say never. There's a lot. Go. Yeah, if there's anything that we can learn with technology and business today in this new environment is decisions change and application happen at speeds.
Heads of companies change so quickly now.
That we have never experienced.
I mean, you'll know, you're one of them, and I know people that have worked at a place for decades.
Yeah.
Because there's a pride of, you know, the experience that you have and you get to see how things change in one place. And car companies were kind of like that for a while.
Yeah.
But they're not anymore. How many times, you know, we see articles where head of such and such company has changed.
Yeah.
You know,
this designers now at the competition.
This woman has left and this man's replaced her. This man's left, this woman's replaced her. These people have swapped jobs, this, that, and it's all the time.
Yeah. It's crazy.
You know, because of that, a bit like with politics, things, you know, there's not a long enough window to actually implement something. Like a Golf will run 7 or 8 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, it might be that before the end of this one, they're like, no. But the only, who knows what they'll do. But I think it's a matter of where they see themselves as a manufacturer, and you know, will they kill the Passat off?
Yeah, I think the Passat's going to. Yeah. Quite frankly, it's gone. So we'll see. Hey, Glenn, this has been a lot of fun. As always, folks want to get in touch with us, send us comments, queries, questions. Look, depending on what platform you're on. If you're on YouTube, comment. If you're listening to us on one of your streaming platforms, comment. Send us a message. Potaholics with a K at gmail.com is how you can do that. It gets right to us. If you're listening to us on the wireless right here in Dubai at 100.3, that's Talk 100.3. Hey, you know what? Send something through the WhatsApp. Send something through the messaging. Potaholics with a K at gmail.com. Send it through. We'll get it on the program. We love to hear from you. That aside, we just love to hear from everyone.
Yeah.
And that's what Glenn and I just love doing. And hey, Glenn's right here at Powerworks Garage. Drop by, say hello. And you know what? We're going to do it all again really, really soon. Glenn, thank you very much.
Thanks, James.